the Honourable Sam George said, firstly, he made a point about me mentioning religion. I mentioned religion because I am a Christian, and actually, you also mentioned religion. I believe you even quoted the Bible, and you have not been shy about discussing the religious support that you have for this bill. And since you haven't been shy about discussing the religious support for this bill, I don't understand why it is an issue for me to talk about religion. You also made a point about polygamy, and do correct me if I'm wrong. It's my understanding, and that people coming into this country, they leave their polygamy at the door. But it's my understanding polygamy is actually illegal under civil law in Ghana. Whilst it might be legal under customary law, it's my understanding it's illegal under civil law. Do correct me if I'm wrong. And you talked a lot about morality in your case of religion. That's why I made reference to different issues. We talk about morality, and a lot of times our morality is linked with our religion. This is the same across countries, right across the world, including the country which we find ourselves in now, which is why I asked why we would not then go on to look at other commandments from the Bible and perhaps legislate against men cheating on their wives, because that is, as much as a part of what men are doing with their anatomy as you want to discuss in this bill. And finally, well, actually, just 2 more points to yourself. You talked about not reading the bill. Now, I'd like to touch on this because this is a comment that's made to me quite often. It's usually by some of my older white male counterparts in the House of Commons. And I want to assure you that in order to be a member of Parliament in the United Kingdom, reading is a prerequisite. So I can read. I did read. I didn't enjoy it. I also read the commentary of the bill. I didn't enjoy that. And my opinions still remain the same. So you can be confident that I understand what it is that you're talking about. And finally, please do not accuse me of blackmail. I came to you, quite frankly, with very, very clear analysis. And this is not my own analysis of what the impact could be. Some countries have felt it. Perhaps it hasn't been noticed so much, but there are various studies that show that there can be an economic impact, and there can be various other impacts. If you pass this law in Ghana, we'll have a situation people from Ghana could quite legitimately claim rights in other countries for fear of persecution. And if you do not think that people claiming asylum rights in the UK or any other country has an impact on people who are applying for visas to that country, then you have no understanding of the international relations and immigration relations that have been developing over the past few years. It will cause people are having to leave Ghana because of your disastrous bill. Forget about the moral implications of it, of having them feel like they're having to leave their home, but the international implications as well. So I'd ask you to consider that too. And Bissy has, of course, already touched on the fact that the legislation that already exists on homosexuality is actually something that's come quite clear from old UK law. On some that were made, just to agree with the gentleman from the Ghana Legal Network, I believe that yes, again, this bill does empower the abuse and infringement of the constitutional rights, human rights of Ghanaians. I maintain that, and as does somebody who has better even knowledge that group of lawyers as myself. And I think it was Marie Boadu who talked about violent language, and I do have to touch on that again. And presentation. I think what she said was very, very important. It's very, very difficult, and we can't just claim that what law is passed in Ghana has no implications on international standing, on how people view us internationally and anything else. I think that is completely wrong. And the way in which it is presented is very, very problematic. And as I said, threatening to beat other ambassadors and commissioners from other countries is not a suitable way, I think, to engage in this argument, and could eventually see repercussions on other Ghanaians in other countries. And I think you need to be very, very careful about that. And also, of course, as Mr. Yemlo said, was talking about the issues of sexual abuse against children. The reality of the situation is that the percentage of LGBT people in Ghana is low. Bissy touched on that, the percentage, and therefore, just as with all other crimes, the reality is the majority of said crimes are going to be committed by heterosexual people. And it's same with and again, this is not a crime, same with the transmission of HIV. The majority will be amongst heterosexual people. And wouldn't it make more sense if we're looking at crimes against persons, we're looking at crimes against children, that we're tackling the deep-rooted issues, not targeting one very minority community? And if we're looking at issues of health and the spread of HIV, which is very, very, crucial. And as I said, it's such that we're looking at proper sexual education, so that people understand what they are meant to do if they engage in a sexual relationship to protect themselves, instead of, again, demonizing one individual community. And I do have to say, the way you spoke to Bissy was not appropriate. And the way you called him out was not appropriate. It's something that people would frown on quite widely. And I think you'll find, following this, that there may be very, very many issues with that, and many people will take issues that you don't do that when somebody suffers from HIV. You'd be well aware of the amount of stigma that is faced around it, and I think to do it in that way was quite impolite. Thank you.